If you can't seem to get your kids on board the tidy up train and toys are the bane of your existence, stick with me. I have some excellent tips to share that have helped me keep the toy clutter under control and train my 5-year-old to clean up after herself. Let's go! Hi guys, it's Laura from How to Get Your Shit Together, and I help busy people get organized, get motivated, and get their kids to clean up. It is one of the most common frustrations that I hear from other parents, and believe me, I'm with you. We are cleanup comrades deep in the toy trenches, but I've got your back. Now, don't despair if your kid doesn't pick it up straight away. Like any new habit, it can take a while to sink in. Just be patient and persistent. The younger you start them, the better, but you can still teach an older kid new cleaning tricks. And to be honest, these will work for us big kids too. First up is to teach them. Just recently, I actually sat down with Scout and taught her how to tidy up, and it has made a huge difference. Because how many times have you asked your kid to clean up and then been horrified by the results? Honestly, I'm often horrified after my husband cleans. And I'm no saint. You know, when I was a kid, I would just heap things into the wardrobe and call it good. My mother would not. Sorry, Ma, but I turned out to be pretty tidy. Here is what I taught Scout. When she is cleaning up, she should first categorize things. Put like with like. All the craft things together, all her soft toys together, all her books together. Basically anything that is stored together goes in one pile. And there will also be a pile for rubbish and things that she no longer wants. I will come back to that point in a few minutes. Then she simply picks up each category and puts it back where it belongs. If she's really not sure what category something belongs to, I have taught her to ask herself, if I wanted this, where would I look for it? She broke her arm a few months ago, so she was sleeping in one of our guest rooms because her bed is a loft bed, you know, there are steps up to it, and then she got an infection. It was a bad time. But for those few weeks, she dragged half of her toys into that guest room, and obviously we didn't force her to clean up too much at the time. Afterwards, the place was destroyed. It looked like the room had been ransacked. And when she got better and I asked her to clean it, she was obviously very overwhelmed and kept putting it off. So eventually I sat down with her and I explained the whole process of categorizing things and why it was helpful. I did stay with her and I answered any questions she had, but I folded laundry while she worked away, because if I had dove in, I would have been the one doing the bulk of the work, and all she would have learned is that Mammy will sort it out. And at the end, she was thrilled. Breaking it down into smaller piles really made it much more manageable for her. It took a lot less time than she thought it would. It gave her a really simple process that she could follow and repeat. She had some company while she was doing it, and she had a sense of pride in her work. So the next time you want your kid to clean up, ask yourself if you've ever actually shown them how to do it, how to make the process easier and quicker and more understandable for them, and what you expect the space to look like afterwards. You will save yourself so much time and heartache and yelling down the line. 2 is to keep it simple. I alluded to this in the last tip, but keep things as simple and straightforward as possible. If something is too awkward to put back, or it's too high up, or it's too heavy, or it needs to be like angled a certain way before it can be slotted in, or if they have to move something else out of the way, they won't do it. They're kids. I mean, even I wouldn't bother with that. Baskets and tubs are great because you can just heap things into them. Easy for them, and still keeps the place looking good for you. Tying in with that, try and keep the toys where your kid actually plays with them the most. If all of your toys are in the living room, but your kid usually plays with them in the bedroom, then that is where the toys need to be moved to. Nobody wants to have to schlep back and forth to clean something up, including you. Try to keep the vast majority in one place, because otherwise it can feel like they are taking over your entire house, and your kid does not want to go here, there, and everywhere just to put back a few toys. It is fine though to have a few smaller stashes in places that make sense. The bulk of my daughter's toys are in the toy room upstairs, but she does have her soft toys in her bedroom because she sleeps with them and she plays with them before bed. She's got bath toys in the bath. And we keep board games downstairs here in the basement because this is where the whole family hangs out. The easier you make it to put something away, the more likely your kid will do it. The fewer steps involved, including literal steps, the better. Any obstacles, and you're just making it harder for all involved. 3 is to categorize. Again, this is something I've already mentioned, but store like with like. It is so much easier for a kid to clean up and then also be able to find things again if they know, for example, that all the dolls go in this basket. Not, big dolls here and small dolls here, or princess dolls in this basket and talking dolls in this one. Those things are creepy. Just dolls. Ask your kid the question that I mentioned earlier. If you were looking for this, where would you expect to find it? Let them lead you, because the things that make sense for you may not make sense for them. I used to keep all Scouts' train stuff together, all the actual trains and the tracks and the stations, but then I would keep all her other vehicles in a separate place, but that didn't make sense for her. So now, if it is any form of vehicle, whether it drives or floats or flies, it is all in the one basket. Don't subdivide if you don't need to. 4 is to praise. When Scout cleans her room, she always comes and tells me about it, and that is because I am one step short of throwing a full-on ticker tape parade for her. I stop whatever I'm doing and I go look. I tell Sam to go and look. There are hugs and high fives. I marvel and just generally try to make a big deal out of it. I want her to know that tidiness and personal responsibility are encouraged and celebrated in our home, and I want her to know that we value her contribution to that. I want her to feel so good that she keeps it up. I mean, if you had a cheering squad doing backflips every time you empty the bin, you'd feel a lot better about the process. 5 is to accentuate the positive. As well as just generally cheering her on, I always try to push the positives. I want her to know and to understand the benefits of a tidy home. So I point out things like, how much space she has to play now. When she gets a toy, I remark on how easy it is to find things when they've been tidied away in the proper place. I say how quick and easy it is to tidy up if you do it kind of as you go or at the end of every day, and how easy it is when you don't have too much stuff. Positive reinforcement. If, for example, she can't find something, I will simply say that it's such a pity that it's not where it's supposed to be. And that's it, just regular reinforcement of how many benefits there are to keeping things clean and tidy. It's about brainwashing. 6 is one at a time. Now, there are exceptions to this, but for the most part, I only let my daughter take out one category of toy at a time. When she is done with it, she has to put it back before she takes anything else out. This is something I started teaching her pretty early on, but like I said, it's never too late for your kids to learn a lesson. If they want to take all the Lego out, great, knock yourself out. Also want to pull out all of the trucks? Nope. One disaster at a time, kid. And that way things stay reasonably manageable throughout the day, and then tidy up time at the end of the day, much quicker and easier. It also teaches kids to appreciate their toys more, I think. When everything is out and all over the place, it's very overwhelming for a kid. They can only play with one set of toys at the time, and all of the rest of the stuff is just taking up space for them and distracting them. But when they have one set of toys out and they have so much more space to be able to spread out in, and they know that that has to be tidied away before they can get anything else out, they are much more likely to stick with that set of toys and enjoy them for a little bit longer. They'll be more creative and think up new games and new ways of enjoying that toy. But when they're done with something, they put it back. That's just a general life lesson, I feel, and it will be all the easier for them if it is something that you practice too. Pointing out what you're doing and why you're doing it. And again, pushing the benefits. Oh, I'm so glad that I tidied away all the dishes after dinner because now I can relax and unwind in a nice, clean space and I don't have to worry about anything, and all of our dishes will be ready to go for breakfast in the morning. See, this one's fun for all the family. 7 is an evening tidy. Everything should get tidied away at the end of the day, and this is great to turn into an evening routine. Same way your kids will brush their teeth and get ready for bed. It's just part of the process. And then you all get to wake up to a tidy house. Sometimes there will be a special project that they're working on, and if so, that's fine to leave out, but just be sure that it's something that's truly meaningful to them. If they're in the middle of building the world's tallest tower or whatever, and that it means a lot to them, and that they will come back to it the next day and continue to build on top of it, that's fine to leave out. Maybe move it into a corner, just out of the way a little bit. But if it's just a whole heap of blocks that they want to leave out because they tell you they'll play with them tomorrow, no, away they go. Again, this is a good one for adults too. Have family tidy up time where everyone chips in. That way you will never have to hear the words that I heard from my 5-year-old recently when I asked her to sweep up some of her crumbs. I do all the cleaning in this house. Oh, had a good laugh about that one, and then a good cry because I know exactly how she feels. 8 is rotation. When Scout was smaller, her toys were bigger. She had slides and easels and sand pits and ride-along things. Everything was like big and chunky. So I started rotating. I sat down with her and I asked her which were the toys and the things that she wanted to play with now, and which were the things that she wanted to put away to play with later. She wasn't forced to give anything up, just to pick her current favorites. Whatever she wanted to play with later went up in the attic, and I was actually surprised. She chose about 80% of the stuff to go up. After that, if she wanted something down from the attic, she had to choose something else to go up in its place. Otherwise, everything stayed up there. So it's not like the kind of regular rotation you hear about where everything is rotated at regular intervals. No, the stuff stays hidden unless it is specifically asked for. After a while, it becomes very obvious which of the stuff has passed out of favor and can potentially be passed on. But it got her making more conscious decisions about what she truly loved and wanted and what she could probably live without, at least temporarily. It was kind of that in-between phase where she didn't officially have to give anything away, but she was learning that she could give it up. 9 is decluttering. Essential if you ever want to get to grips with things. First, stop as many new things coming into your home as possible. For Scout's 6th birthday, instead of buying her stuff, we're going to take her camping. But the reality for most parents is that things are probably already a little bit out of hand, and even if you are not buying your kids a whole pile of stuff, somebody else will. Since Scout was little, I have explained to her that there are some boys and girls who have no toys. She still doesn't fully understand why they can't just go to the store and get some, but it has made her much more giving of her own toys. So when I was implementing the rotation system, I also asked her which toys she would like to give to another boy or girl who had none. It was a bit of a struggle in the beginning, I won't lie. Naturally she was reluctant to let go of things, and even when she did, those first few times, I actually secretly held on to the stuff for a few weeks just to make sure that she really understood that the stuff was gone. Nowadays I get rid of it ASAP. But these days, it comes much more naturally to her. Now, I'm not saying that it is a regular event or anything, but occasionally when she is cleaning things up and categorizing things, she will come to me with a toy and say that she wants to give it to another child. And again, I make a big deal out of it. I tell her how kind she is, how happy it will make that other child. I tell her how proud I am of her, etc. That way, she doesn't associate the act with sacrifice. Instead, she sees it as something fulfilling and satisfying and rewarding. It is especially easy to do before new stuff comes in, so like Christmas, birthdays, etc. When kids have the promise of new toys coming in, all of a sudden, it is so much easier for them to make some space. If baskets are bursting, there'll be no space for birthday presents. And sometimes Santa needs some help. So if your kid can leave some of their old toys under the tree, Santa will then take those and deliver them to other boys and girls and leave shiny new ones in their place. But when they agree to part with something, remove it immediately. 10 is to have a home. When something new does come in, ask your child where they would like to keep it. Where do they think that thing belongs? Again, going back to that question, if they were going to look for this thing, where would they expect to find it? That will eliminate that inevitable dropping of things on any free flat surface because they just don't know what to do with it. Incredibly guilty of this one myself. Sometimes things just need a temporary spot, particularly for seasonal things. Sometimes your kid will make a hat or something for some occasion that they'll want to wear it for, but you know that when that is done, you can safely bin it. Or they'll make a Lego house or something and they'll want to show it off for a while. Or papers. Millions of pictures that you will want to keep and admire for a short time before slipping them into the recycling bin. So have a designated area for all of those in-between transient things and papers and projects before they move on to a more permanent home. If you want to see how I decluttered my daughter's toys and how we have our toy room set up, all the different categories we have, click here. Or if you would like more general cleaning and tidying tips for your home, here's where to go. Until then, Gura Mila Magwith, agus fegin me sibs go lua. Slán!